Hello everyone, welcome to the Transplants YouTube channel.
What's up, guys?
So,
we did this video already, but we didn't hit record on the audio.
I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't know what happened. Our audio isn't there for our first video, so this is going to be take 2 of our analysis of the film coming out of the theater. We've already done an in-depth dive into the story and what we thought, but we missed the first 15 minutes of the review, so that's a bummer. Now we're just going to act like this is the first time.
Yeah.
And so
these are our general thoughts on the Joker movie.
Right.
As a movie, not going to get too into the nerd stuff and into the minutia, and just talk about it as a movie, which was... Oh, it was so good. It was so good, Matt.
Tell me about it.
Well, cinematography was gorgeous. Just all the little things, like the setting, like having it be set in the 80s, but even like a 40s, 50s feel sometimes, like the rivets on the bus when he's looking out the window, things like that. And this is going to have spoilers, by the way, guys.
Right.
We're just going to talk about it. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're watching this on YouTube when you could be going and watching this movie.
Yeah.
Cinematography's gorgeous. Everything is so... There's no fat on this movie. Everything has such a specific purpose with like the character development for Joker and him going crazy. And it was just so well done. Some Godfather-esque cinematography with like kind of long shots like on the other end of the room that last a little longer than you think they would, and like the camera shakes in certain parts, which is really interesting, and it kind of shows that this whole thing is from the perspective of the Joker becoming the hero. You have all these references to him as the vigilante once he kills those guys on the bus that deserved it.
Yeah.
Like, you were happy when he shot these dudes, but then he likes it. Like, this makes him happy, and it gets further and further off the rails. You can't have Joker in a vacuum without Batman.
Yep.
But the way they handle it is really well done. It's much later on. We already have a good sense of the Joker and like what he is and what he's going through. And then it pulls like this Wayne stuff in, and they start off with this: is Thomas Wayne Arthur's father? And it's like such a good tie-in to how Joker and Batman are two sides of the same coin.
One side of the same coin.
Same side of the same coin.
Yeah.
They just channel things differently. They're both kind of psychotic. They've had trauma.
Yeah.
It breaks them. They're not normal people. The way that Joker's constantly trying to fit in and practices to be a regular person, it's very much like the mask of Bruce Wayne that Batman puts on. Batman's the real character. Bruce Wayne's the secret identity, because it's not who he really is. He has to try to fit in because he's psychotically obsessed with his war on crime.
Yeah.
And you see the same thing in the Joker.
Yeah.
And it's all so well done. We get our Haley Joel Osment, I see dead people moment, but it's not done cliche. It's done to...
Kind of surprises you.
It does. And it's done to show that this is the Joker story from his perspective. Which I think kind of ties in. You didn't want this movie at first.
No, I did not want this movie. In fact, I'm going to be talking about some things in my sort of overall take on the Joker that I probably said in our second review. In my mind, I want to hit the things that I didn't say in my second review. But it might be inevitable just because I don't remember what I said in my first one or my second one, so it might all just come together. But if I repeat myself, please forgive me. I'm just going to be honest. So, yeah, I didn't want a Joker movie just as much as I didn't want a Venom movie that didn't have Spider-Man as the origin.
Right. I
think that was nonsensical. But the difference being, this movie crushed it, and Venom smushed it.
I like Venom.
And I'm with you. The film as a movie, just as a piece of entertainment, does everything right. I think. I think this movie is the best DC movie ever done.
And it's not even close.
Not a comparison. But in saying that, I think this movie is a brilliant movie just as a film. Mm-hmm. In fact, if director and lead aren't nominated for an Academy Award, everyone needs to go in a tunnel and think about their sins. Like, they have no idea what they're doing. Those close-ups where you get Joker sort of like contemplating
mm-hmm.
and thinking and nervously ticking, you're in there and you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in his eyes, it's in his expressions, it's subtle. It's not beaten over the head with a crowbar,
right?
No pun intended. But it draws you in to have this almost like kindred empathy
mm-hmm.
towards the Joker. Like, you know exactly what he's going through, even though you haven't gone through it, and you feel exactly how he feels.
Yeah.
And it's not even because Joker is a charity case. It's not because he's complaining. You're witnessing this man's like downfall, his spiral, and it's hard to say it's his fault. It's hard to say that the creation of the Joker is because of his own choices. It feels like this man just had a really crappy deal at life.
Mm-hmm.
He's dealt some really bad hand. And the question is, did he or didn't he? And we get into that in our second review, but all that being said, along with like the score,
yeah,
really emphasizing his emotions and like those moments where he sort of reflects and you hear that ballad start
mm-hmm.
playing and then
that
he
cello
begins to dance, and it just draws you in to one man's perspective.
Yeah.
Like, you feel him. You are supposed to get in his head. In fact, I don't think there's a scene that he's not in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one shot with the mugger.
Oh yeah.
That would be a scene that he's not in, but he directly affects it.
Yep.
And yeah, like I was blown away by this movie the first time, and I was equally blown away the second time.
There's so much in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much in there. Like, we were talking about how like the women in his life look very similar. Mm-hmm. His first therapist,
mm-hmm.
The girl down the hall, mm-hmm. and then the last therapist all have a similar look, like similar hairstyle, like the hair's up, like kind of thin. African American, obviously, mm-hmm. all three of them, like, they're so obviously similar. And it goes back into all this stuff.
I think the two social workers are the most. I think
sure.
There's something in the writing there and in the casting for those two that was very specific.
Has a type.
Yeah.
And like, does he kill the last one because of the failings of the first one?
Mm-hmm.
Like, all these things you're thinking about, like what's going through his head and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy.
When I watched it the first time, I don't know if I talk about this in the second review or if it was in the first one, but I'm just going to reiterate it because I thought it was very, very interesting. When I watched it the first time, I was captivated by his laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched it the second time, I was hooked by the laughter and I analyzed it. Like, I was very curious as to what was going on there because obviously he has that chronic laugh.
Uh-huh.
That feels almost like he's crying and he's in pain. His throat, like he's choking on it, Yep. Then the laugh that's very like awkward and trying to fit in, and he's not really. He finds nothing funny. He's just trying to be a part of it, and he laughs like nervously. And we see that, I think, the best in the scene where the big bald man makes fun of the small man, and Arthur's walking out of the room, and he's like, ah! He's laughing, and as he walks out, he just
Yeah.
deadpan. And it's like, wow, he is so just, he's got so many screws loose. And then the next scene, we get this, the boss like telling him like, look, I like you and everything, but you're awful. And this is why you're awful. And let me tell you something else. You're also awful. Mm-hmm. And as he's doing that, Joker sort of like gets melted away, or Arthur gets melted away into the score, and the cello is just playing, and it's like it's pushing in on his face, and you see that like that just creepy smile.
Joaquin Phoenix. Why'd that sound weird to me?
The Walking Phoenix.
The Walking Phoenix.
Yeah, not the flying one.
He's so amazing. Yeah. Like, we don't deserve him.
Mm-mm.
Like, just his facial expressions, like you were talking about, like when you're zoomed in on him and you just watch this battle in his head, like him trying to figure out, like, what am I doing wrong? Why don't I get this? Why does nobody like me? I thought I did the right thing.
Yeah.
I practiced my social cues.
Right.
Like, why didn't it work?
Right.
Isn't this what I'm supposed to do?
And then it cuts to that scene right after that when he's smiling and it's pushing it on his face, where he's kicking something outside the garbage. Mm-hmm. The first time I watched it, it looked like, to me, because I was just watching it like initially, it looked like he was kicking the garbage, the can, like the dumpster, like just kicking it viciously. But in this time, I noticed that there was something next to the garbage on the other side, and he started stomping at the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, is he thinking about like just stomping out his boss?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, there was no indication that was in his head. Mm-hmm. The only indication that we got that it was in his head was that it pushed into his face, and then the sound drowned it out with the cello.
Yeah, yeah.
But the way that it cuts is like, that's real.
Right.
Just like the way it cut with the Murray show, when it went from him being in bed to being in the show, and then back to being in bed.
Yeah.
There was nothing there that didn't indicate it.
I thought he was kicking the dumpster because he has a limp when he's walking down the hallway back home.
I didn't catch the limp.
Yeah.
But he stomped.
Yes.
At the end, he started stomping next to the dumpster.
And I thought he went like American Psycho and just went and like killed a homeless person or something like near the garbage. I was like, what's going on? Like, is there like what's there?
Yeah.
But that's why this movie's so good, because there's so much ambiguity everywhere. Mm-hmm. And then you get the Haley Joel Osment I see dead people thing, and like we said before, like, this is his story of becoming the hero to his people, the mob that's sick of the rich people in Gotham. Yeah. And I think you mentioned this, I forget which review it was, but if it's the one we lost or the other one, where when some of the things that Thomas Wayne says when he says...
that was the second review.
Yeah, those of us that pulled themselves up are going to look at these people as clowns, and there's things that's like him remembering what was said, like with his own bent. It's a little worse. Yeah. Was Thomas Wayne that much of a jerk, or is this his spin? And
there was also that quote from the detective that said, he said, "Oh, that laugh that you have. We're told that or your boss said that it's like it's a issue. Is that a real thing, or is that like a clown thing?" Yeah. And then he's like, a clown thing? Yeah. And then he bumps into the door, which is played for laughs, and or played for like a jump scare, but it's actually played for laughs.
Yeah, and it's like, did he do that on purpose?
Yeah.
Or did he not? Like, he's waving at it, and they're like, it's exit only. Like, what are you doing?
And the funny thing that I caught in the second viewing was, he said, "Is that real?" Mm-hmm. It's interesting that they use the word real. They use the word real in reference to Arthur a lot of times in the movie. Yeah. I was planning on counting, but I forgot to count. But they do, like,
clicker.
People refer, like, there's a lot of reference to reality. Yep. Throughout the film. Yep. And I think that's very interesting that and we get more into that into the second review, but yeah, I think this movie is just it's what we should have gotten, and we did get it.
Oh yeah.
This is what I didn't know I wanted. Mm-hmm. I didn't get what I thought I was going to get, and what I didn't want. Right. This was perfect. Yeah. This is exactly what we needed.
The perspective, how it's from the Joker's perspective, the questions of reality, how this is really a movie of him becoming the hero.
Right.
All those things, the pacing, the way that things escalate was just really well done. Like the cinematography, like we talked about, like the different shots are just insanely good.
Yeah.
Like there's that long staircase they use a lot for multiple different scenes.
That set piece is amazing.
Yeah,
it's funny, the first time he walks
movie.
up it, he looks at it almost with dread.
Yeah.
As he's about to walk up it. The last time he's
dancing.
Jumping down and dancing and stomping. And that one he's descending. The first one, it's like he hated to ascend to like some sort of responsibility. And the last one, it's like he's descending into chaos.
Yeah.
You know? And there's that scene in the train before he gets jumped, where those guys are like, you know, taunting that girl. In any other hero movie, if the hero hasn't become the hero yet, that's the moment the hero becomes hero. And you're waiting for it to happen in this. Like you're waiting for him to get up and maybe say something. Instead, he laughs. And he doesn't laugh because he wants to or because he thinks it's funny. He's laughing because he's so nervous and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's whenever he laughs, that's what happens. And then the attention's brought into him. It's funny that she just leaves. Like in any other movie, she would have been a damsel in distress. Yeah. She gets out fine. He's the one that gets the beating.
Yeah.
Because he was uncomfortable and in the wrong place at the wrong time. And also, really quick before we go, my last point was, if I haven't said it in this review yet, and if I didn't say it in the second one, I'm saying it now. I think it's amazing that they did 3 different laughs in this. They have the one that we were talking about earlier, where it's like he's chronic. Then we have the one that, again, with the hallway where he's trying to fit in, and also at the comedy store or the comedy club where he's laughing offbeat and not really knowing where to set his laughter in.
Yeah.
And then we get the laugh at the hospital. So we get this real laugh. The Joker actually laughing 3 times in the movie. Once at the hospital when Murray plays his set and he watches his set on live television, he thinks it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And he starts actually laughing like he was having fun with it. And then later we get another one where he's laughing at the fact that Gotham's going into chaos when he's in the police car and the guy said, "Would you stop laughing, you douchebag?" Yeah. And then the last one where he's in Arkham Asylum and he says, "I just thought of a joke." And then she said, "Want to share it?" And he says, "You wouldn't get it anyways." Yep. Those are the only 3 times that we get real Joker laugh. And it's funny that when he's laughing in his apartment, when he's setting up his joke, he's laughing like he does to try to get to fit in the social situations, but no one's around. Yeah. It's almost like he's practicing that laugh, because every time he laughs, he just stops. Yep. And also, one last thing. Really one last thing.
Stop saying one last thing. Just talk until we're done.
We have him writing with his left hand. And I think it's interesting because as he's writing, it's almost like he never wrote properly, because if he was to write with his right hand, maybe he would be writing better, but he's actually writing with his left hand. And it looks like a righty writing as a lefty.
And you know what? There's the scene where the last guy he kills in the subway, very tactical, which kind of adds to the mystery. Like, he's never had a gun before. He drops it, he kicks it, but then he's like, waiting for the guy to come out. He's using his right hand for that.
No, he's using his left.
Not when he's aiming out.
Yeah. I paid attention during the screening.
No, because he's doing this.
It was on this side. He was looking this way.
No.
Tell us in the comments.
It wasn't.
Tell us in the comments who's right. If you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, why are you watching it?
Yeah, seriously.
But my last thought was, I found it funny that he, when he was writing, when it pushed into what his penmanship was like, he said, "I hope my death makes more sense than my life." But he spelt sense like money.
Right. Which is so funny because that's not a joke you can tell verbally.
Yes, it's not a joke that you can tell verbally, and I also wonder if there was an ironic spin to it when he was writing it. Like, I hope it makes money. Like, I hope that maybe I die in a way that goes out in a blades of glory, that, like, people will respect me.
Yeah.
And it would actually make sense. And, like, make money. It also goes back to the Murray show. Like, when he was initially thinking about killing himself on the show, maybe that would create more ratings. Or, like, just give him accolades. Like, there's so many layers to this movie that insane. When you peel it back like an onion, and it's just like you keep getting more and more and more, and I'm going to go see it again.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got to go see it like 9 times in the theater. It's such a good movie.
Yep.
Guys, go watch it if you haven't already. I'm sure you have if you're listening to us talk about it.
Why would you be watching this if you haven't?
Let us know what you think.
And what you think.
Yeah, and that too.
Let us know in the comments. Subscribe, like, follow, all the things. We're out.
All right. Later, guys.